What's up, guys? I've missed you. And I just, my mind is just like all over because so much has happened since I've seen you all last. I really do miss you. And welcome back. Welcome back to the life of the Young Funeral Professionals. Today actually marks the first actual live episode. You're getting it all. No cut cards. Hear back. I want to hear back from you. So come on in. Share this live, like, comment. And also while you're doing that, I worked on some things in the past. I want you guys to connect with us. I want you guys, because all of our updates, our special guests, some interactive content is coming out. So please take this opportunity to follow our Facebook page, The Life of Young Funeral Professionals, our Instagram at The Young Funeral Professionals, and The Life of Young Funeral Professionals on Facebook, on YouTube. Please take that opportunity to connect with us. We want to hear from you. Please, please, please. I cannot have this platform without you. Your support means so much to me, and I wish I can just say that as often as I can, and for you guys to understand that I truly am grateful for all the support that you have given this platform since day one. So tonight, I have a really, it's a word I want to use, distinguished guest. Some people you meet in this industry, they become, colleagues, they become acquaintances, but then oftentimes they also become friends. In the time that I've known this young man, he has become one of my closest friends, and I'm actually grateful to have met him. I can tell you where he originates from, but where he is currently, I can't even tell you because, he's gained some wings. And we'll talk about that soon, too. So please welcome to the stage, Mr. Courtney Hemphill.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Hey, friend.
How you be, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I was quite all right, finally back home for like a day or two.
So when you say back home, that actually kind of leads me into, my first question for you. So tell me where you're from.
Oh,
and
currently,
what got you into the funeral industry?
Gotcha. So I originate from the North Las Vegas, Nevada. Separate from Las Vegas, there is two. And what got me into funeral service, we took a road trip, my family and I, from here in Vegas. We took a family road trip down to Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, to attend the services of my great-great-grandmother who passed back in 2010, I want to say. And it was there at her service that I realized that I wanted to be a funeral director. Instead of staying with my family during the first family, like the approval viewing, they were setting up somebody across the hallway. So I went and stood in the doorway just to see what they were doing.
Being nosy.
Yeah, exactly. Being a nosy 9-year-old. And instead of sending me back to my family, the vice president of the funeral home, he actually invited me into the room and allowed me to watch what they were doing as they were setting the gentleman up. I remember specifically he was in what was known to me back then as a silver box. I had to learn terminology as I got older. And they were setting him up. They all carried him into the room, and then they invited his family in. But by that point, I'd already walked back across. He showed me the chapel. He showed me the front desk. He showed me the flower shop. It was an amazing funeral home. And I came back home and declared to my family that I wanted to be a mortician. instead of being a car engineer like I originally wanted to do, because my original plans when I was younger, I wanted to move to Detroit and go and build Mustangs and Camaros. I was a VA baby growing up. I've always been a car guy. And so that was going to be my life. And God and the funeral industry saw fit to kind of change it a little bit. So maybe a VA hearse might be in the future, but we'll see.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. If that is the case, let me know and I'll be sure to retire.
God have you.
I'll be sure to retire. So you mentioned one that you were just really intrigued on being a part of the industry. You were nosy. So tell me the steps that it took for you to actually get into the death care industry. How did you navigate to get your start?
So it was always kind of interesting because growing up being a pastor's kid, we lost some of the older members of our church. And so I was always kind of attending a service or two, like once every year or so. Excuse me. So it became natural to be in that setting and also to be in the church world also. So when I turned 14, a gentleman by the name of Bishop Tyrone Seals from out here in Las Vegas started a funeral. Well, he already had it, but he invited me to work a service with him. His funeral home is called Heritage Mortuary. That's kind of where I got my foot in the door with the funeral industry to start with. I did my first service. I was in a bright blue t-shirt, gray sweatpants, and I had a red hoodie wrapped around my waist because we had just finished choir rehearsal for the church we were attending back then. And I did my first service standing there, passing out tissue, passing out programs in the lobby. And it was that night that my grandmother, my mom, took me to Burlington to buy my first suit. And that was all she wrote. Fast forward to 2020, I went through a little bit of a transitionary period where I didn't really want to work in funeral service anymore. Kind of that relationship after losing some of my friends in high school and some of the people that I had grown up with to gun violence and things of that nature. It was just kind of a little bit too personal at that time. So I went to work for a car dealership. Absolutely hated it. That was not at all where I was supposed to be. But I used that funds that I was getting from that job to fund my funeral arranger license, which is just a step under being a funeral director, being the funeral director's assistant in a way. It's just we have an actual license for it here in Nevada. And I got my license at 19. And then I went and the opportunity opened up for me to join the ranks of Giddens Memorial Chapel, where I currently serve my families and communities here in Las Vegas. Very prestigious firm, very amazing family, and really taking me under their wings. And for that, I'm truly grateful because I couldn't have made it as far as I have without them. And that's where I've been planted for the last 5 years. And I don't plan on going anywhere else until it's time for me to leave the nest. So, but yes, I will be right here back at home. So
okay, all right, cool. So in this industry, we know that it is, I say this is not your typical 9 to 5
at all.
Not your typical Monday to Friday. It's really, once you get into the industry, prepare for a 24/7 lifestyle. So tell me some things, and even with you, first off, happy belated birthday.
Much appreciated.
No problem. Happy belated birthday. But a lot of younger people often have struggles between the professional side of things and being personal in your personal life. So where did you find the balance, or what groove did you have to take to manage both?
Excuse me. To manage both, I would say it took a minute to find that separation because I'm a church boy at heart. And all things, it became to a point where it was all things funeral service. I wanted to be there. Somebody died, that we knew, okay, I want to be at the service. If we had a lot going on, I could afford to miss a day from school. I want to be at the service. But then this also comes to a point where you need to have a life outside of the funeral home, so to speak, because it can't be your entire life. I realized I didn't have many friends. I grew up, I was more of an introvert. So I didn't really talk to people anyway. So being at the funeral home all day was really nothing for me. But it got to a point where I said it used to be, but I
don't believe that.
We kind of had to tighten that up and, separate and have funeral service while I'm at the funeral home. But when I'm not at the funeral home, who is Courtney? And so finding out what I liked, my interests, things that I like, because we grew up very sheltered. Again, being a pastor's kid, I wasn't allowed to do much. So I picked up traveling. I picked up sports, although, and I also picked up, just kind of doing things that I would like around. Picked up music too, was another big thing for my brother and I, and learning where we would fit in that world. But learning to separate the two was definitely a little difficult when we were younger.
Okay. So, a struggle that I had, is some things we just take home with us because we respect our families enough not to share. Some things we internalize, because we have to check our own emotions and everything like that. So I had a problem trying to to figure out how can I separate the two. But once I did, the outside Raheem is different than the Raheem that is carrying tissues aisle.
And the one that serves. And it's very important to find that separation too, because you have to have identity. And that was my biggest thing as I came of age. It was like, okay, who is Courtney? What is Courtney like? Because I'm always at the funeral home. But when I'm not at the funeral home, I don't want to be a mortician. I want to be 24 years old. So how can I learn to effectively separate the two to where I'm still going to be a mortician when I need to be a mortician, but I can also still be a person when I need to be a person? And that's not to say that the industry kind of takes you over, but as you said, this is a job that at any moment you can be needed and you need to answer the call to action. And so it's finding a way to, when you're done answering that call and when that call ends, going back to things that you like.
So you know what? It just hit me. It literally just hit me. Courtney, we have a secret.
We do.
It's a pretty decent secret. Should I tell them now?
I think we should wait just a little bit long. Let's wait to save it for the end. Yes, sir.
Okay. I think they can handle it.
We'll come back to it.
All right. Okay. So, one thing I've learned over the course of me being in the industry, I learned that mentorship is valuable. I learned that you need to have people that can guide you, that can correct you, that can motivate you. So tell me some of those people who you have inspired you, or even taken up the torch to be your mentor. Tell me a little about some of those.
So there is a lot of people that you meet in this industry. There's a lot of people that you meet that will say that they will do certain things. And then there's a lot of people, then there's the very select few that you meet that will actually do the things that they said. And God has graced my life to really run into the people that put action behind, not just saying, oh, I want to be there for you. I want to do this. I want to do that, take you under my wing, but actually taking me under their wing and actually showing, like you said, that correction piece, that being that shoulder when I needed it. Everything really ties back to the Giddens family. Like I tell you, there's a lot in this industry that I have been exposed to from being connected to Dr. Giddens and his brother, Mr. Kyle Giddens, and very invaluable, intangible experiences. But I've also gained a family within them, if that makes sense too. And they're a family that they're not close to too many people. So the fact that I was able to be graced with relationship, to be as close to them as I am, it has really helped me. And they're two of the gentlemen that have decided, hey, I want to be a mentor, but in order for me to be your mentor, this is what I need from you. And they've challenged me to be better. They've always held me accountable. Even when I may not have always had myself together, they've given me grace. They've really taken on that mentorship role in every literal sense of the word. I can go to them anytime I need to. Even if we're just hanging out, if we need some uncle nephew time, they're there. When I went through some of the most tragic instances in my life where I lost some of the closest people to me, the very first people I could call on were my uncles. And I'm very grateful because they didn't have to be as nice. They didn't have to be as graceful as they have been. But everything really ties back to them. And then there are extensions of them that really pour into me and they take the time and they realize that not only am I a young man with ambition, but I'm a young man with potential. And
Mhm.
life hasn't always graced me with the opportunity to tap into that fully. But the fact that I have them to keep me going and say, hey, keep me on track. We ran into issues and they're very real. It's very real conversations that go on behind closed doors. And it's not just all, oh, you did a good job at the service today. It's okay, what's next? What is your goal? What is
Mhm.
your plan? What do you have that you're doing now that's going to get you to your next goal, to check that next box? What is going to carry you through to that next goal? And I'm very grateful that I have people like that. But I'm forever indebted to those two gentlemen for
Mhm.
as far as I've gotten.
And you mentioned something because we've even had conversations about accountability,
Hmm.
um, and
As real friends do.
even having those conversations about fair being like fair weathered people. So I really appreciate when we're not just, all right, you're doing a good job, you're doing oh so well. But when I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong.
Oh,
I just got to
yes.
know.
Oh, yeah.
It's really important to me. But shout out to Dr. Raymond and the entire Giddens family. I love those people. And so I really want to, you mentioned the word goals.
Yes, sir.
So I do know that you aspire to be a licensed funeral director.
Hmm.
And you did something that a lot of people don't do. You actually stepped out of the industry to gain the resources that you need in this industry to be what you want to be in this industry. For those who don't know, Courtney recently gained some wings. I'm not talking about heavenly wings. I'm talking about Delta wings. He
No
is
heavenly
one
wings yet
of the
haven't got there.
newest Delta Airlines flight attendants,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's I. Courtney, talk about the transition into getting into that. What your vision was behind it. What your thoughts were. Talk to us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
So one of the things that my mom and my uncles have always shared with me is that it's imperative that as you have a goal and you are taking steps to get there, um, that the road may not always be straight to get there. And I shared this when I was talking to a elementary school class. It was a fifth grade class. So I could talk to them a little bit more intellectually about the things to expect as you walk this life's journey, and how if there's something that you really want to go after, if it's a goal that you've really set for yourself that you really want to achieve, understanding that the journey to get there is not always going to be smooth sailing. And so I've had to put myself in a position to where I can take a step back from the industry so I can really focus and hone in on everything that I'm really trying to achieve. And being okay with the fact that it's going to take some time to get there. The biggest thing that I ran into was thinking that I was running out of time, and that's not the case anymore. It's God is positioning me to do certain things and have certain experiences so that way when I do finally make it to what I ultimately want to do, it will take shape the way that it needs to, and I'll be very grateful for the journey. And so the opportunity with the airline presented itself late in early September. And so I was sitting there and I was applying and I was praying. I was like, well, God, if this is the right thing for me to do, let me go ahead and let me experience the way that you want me to experience it. And I was very apprehensive at first because it is a big jump being a flight attendant and then also being a mortician, coming from being a mortician to now being a flight attendant. It is one of the craziest experiences and shifts that I have experienced in my life. But when I tell you, man, it's one of the most rewarding experiences. I went through 7 weeks of training. Um, Down in Atlanta, I had a chance to connect with some people down there, but I did it secretly too, because only people that I really knew were my uncles, my godfathers, and my mom, and that's really all I told because I wanted to find a way to not only do something for myself, but also kind of take on a goal where you ain't got to have everybody in your business. And that's one of the other things that I'm learning, to be more private as I achieve certain things. But when the opportunity with the airline presented itself and then I kept moving forward in the process, I prayed about it before I accepted the job, and I kind of really had to talk to God and say, is this the right thing for me? And man, when I tell you, it's been amazing. And I've only been in it. I've only been actively flying for like the last 3 weeks, but it's been great. And this is going to be used as a stepping stone to get back to the funeral service. I actually start school back in July, so I'll be going over the summer. So I'll be very busy. I won't say what school yet, but running into issues and running into challenges is really teaching me. So that way, when we get to what I want, I'll know how to handle some of this stuff when it comes along. I was attending a mortuary school, and unfortunately, I did have to take a step back from my educational career. But it wasn't because it failed. Let's tighten that up. It was not because I failed. It's because I couldn't afford it. Because the people that talk, and they talk and they lie on the phone. It wasn't because I flunked out of the program. It was because I couldn't afford it. Financial aid didn't cover the whole thing, and they sent me a bill and they only gave me 2 weeks to pay it. And that was the thing that it was like, okay, well, I can't do that, take care of my household, and then afford whatever else incidentals that come up. I can't do it. So I had to let it go, unfortunately. And so now I'm in my redemption period where I'm able to do more, and I'm able to get back into school, and this time effectively stay in school so I can graduate as soon as I can. And that also came at the tail end of me losing my great grandmother. So I fell into a depression behind her passing, and it made it worse once I got kicked out of school. They sent me that email like right after my birthday, and it really kind of shifted things. But putting myself into the perspective, like somebody just said, delayed but not denied. It's really helping me to understand just across the board life experiences, and learning how to effectively tackle things as they come about, and not beat myself up if I can't at that present moment. I'm gonna get there. It's just gonna take time. That's why I was joking with my little brother the other day. I said, as much as I've been through in the last couple of years, and the last 10 years to get to this point, excuse my friends, but I must have a damn good funeral home coming, because it has gotten to the point where I'm seeing the challenges and I'm seeing the effects of the challenges, and then seeing like how strong I am after overcoming said challenges. It's been really great, a really rewarding experience to kind of see how my life is taking shape up into this moment. But yes, I am very excited to be flying. I've been out seeing the world. It's been pretty great. I've had a wonderful time.
Well, what I can say is, whenever I have a free day, I'll meet you at the airport. How about that?
Come right. Make sure I'm gonna be there long enough, because lately.
So I do want to acknowledge a comment from Brianna. She said, "Delayed, not denied." Yes. God's timing is the best timing. Don't always understand the reason behind struggle and situations, but your story is amazing. So let me tell you something. I have started, stopped mortuary school a few times. Mm-hmm. It's my dream to be a funeral director. Back in school now. I'm not quitting this time, guys. I'm just saying, just not quitting.
This it. I told my mom, myself, if I don't make it this time, I'm gonna go be a police officer. Something I can't do, but I'm gonna.
You're already a flight attendant. You already have a backup plan.
That was before the airline came about.
Oh, I was about to say.
Now, if I'm carrying a dead body, I won't know about it till I see the box getting carried off the plane.
That's wild. That's wild. But it's really important that you guys all know that your story. You mentioned earlier that you said like you felt like your time was running out. Mm-hmm. It's never the case.
Never the case.
It's never the case. Because I too was like, oof, here I am about to be 27 in May, and this gentleman's like 23 and licensed in 4 states. Did I miss my mark? Did I miss anything? What happened? But I had to realize that my journey is my journey alone. Mm-hmm. And I can't compare my journey to your journey. You can't compare your journey to my journey, because we don't know what all struggles we had to go through.
And I promise you, nobody wants to compare to my journey, because to get to where I am, I have to put it into a book, everything that happened since because we found the passion at 9, but all hell broke loose at 9. So it hasn't always been like I post the good. It hasn't always been like as positive as I've been. I had to grow to be this way. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't always had the best experiences. I had to grow into seeing my life positively and being optimistic in every circumstance, regardless
Mm-hmm.
of how I feel and what we've gone through. It ain't always been sunshine and rainbows, man. It's some days it's Cat 10 tornadoes and hurricanes at E5. I'm sorry, Category 10 hurricanes and E5 tornadoes outside, and still having to pray and make sure that my house stands. It ain't always been this good. And there's two gentlemen that I see in the comment section that are, I was talking about the extensions of my uncles. You have Cornell Robinson Cook, and then you have Ronnie Bugs. And then there's a few others that have really taken time to take me under their wing and kind of pour into me. But those gentlemen, along with my uncles, along with my mom, they've always told me, you have the potential, but you have to lock in. And those are those accountability moments that, yeah, I'm doing a good job, but I could be doing more. But they've
Mm-hmm.
also helped me to understand that my journey is my journey. And
Mm-hmm.
what worked for certain people will work for them may not necessarily work for me. And I have to be okay with the way that and the direction that God is getting ready to take my life in.
Yeah.
I have to be okay with the hills and the valleys. We've had some valley moments and I've had some top of the mountain moments. And both I'm equally grateful for. I promise you, man, I
Yeah.
would not be who I am without the valley moments, but I also wouldn't be who I am without the top of the mountain moments because it makes it all come together
It
and it
does.
makes it perfect part of the
It does.
journey. I don't want to
Listen.
look back. If I had to put it in a diagram and look back on my life, I don't want to look back and see, oh, I had a perfect line. Because a perfect line means I didn't go through anything. A perfect line means I won't have a story to tell. And a perfect line means that I may miss the true meaning of life. And as long as I've had, we did an exercise at my church one time where we were doing, it's like a chart my life where you draw one straight line and then you draw the other line with the ups and the downs and the moments of your life. And it gives you a chance to realize that yes, life changed, but God was truly the only consistent through everything that we went through. And as long as I leaned on him and as long as I kept my eyes towards the hills, everything about my situation, I knew that it wasn't gonna last forever, if that makes sense. And I've
You just
arrived
preach,
at a
boy.
points where it's like, man, I went through it. I cried them nights. I was sad about my situation. I felt sorry for myself, but I made it. I may
Yeah.
not have gone as far as I want to, and as far as I talked about myself being when I was in high school, but I'm still making it, and I'm
Yeah.
still going. And it only gets better from here. You
Yeah.
go through stuff, but you come out of that, man. I promise you, you come out of that so much better. If you maintain that it's not going to last forever. Once you get to the for not lasting forever piece, you look back on it. Oh my God, I did it. And that's how it's gonna be when I get through mortuary. So I tell you, I'm gonna cry like a newborn baby. Y'all gonna have to pick me up off that floor. They hand me that diploma cover, boy, man. Y'all had to
I
pick me
said I
up.
was going to shout
Hmm?
across I was going to shout that way.
Listen,
That's what I'm going to do. Just going to take
peel
off.
me, peel me off the floor and make sure my clothes are still straight. It's gonna be a time.
It's going to be a time.
It's gonna be a time.
I'm going to be here for it. If I don't get a ticket, I'm calling the law.
You'll be
I'm calling
there.
the cops. Ain't
You'll
nobody.
be. We
Nobody.
off to bigger and better. There'll
I
be
said it
more
first.
than this. I promise.
Courtney, this is really good conversation because there are a lot of people, and especially in the younger side of things, um, pure Baptist fit. But a lot of people, especially us younger people in the industry, we give up so easily,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that we have lost sight. Um, we as a body have lost sight of the true meaning of what we do,
Mm-hmm.
and I do feel as though that we've come a long way, but we still got ways to go when it comes to the honest truth of service that we do here in the industry. So talk to me just a little. Just a little bit. Do you hear me, sir? Just a little bit. Okay? Talk to me a little
Oh
bit
God.
about what you would love to see this industry get back to.
Can I go? Can I start? Okay. The biggest thing that I would love to see the industry getting back to, Lord help bind my tongue, please. So we need to be more serious about getting back to the sacredness of the industry. You gotta turn it down. You have to be more serious about being sacred and taking this back to a place where we not only have respect for what we do, but we can also be respected for what we do.
Mhm.
There is a lot of times where we see a lot of things, and I've seen a lot. I'm not going to say we, I'm going to say me, where I've seen a lot of things, and it happens mostly on social media, where we are becoming one of the most mocked industries on the face of this planet. And it has everything to do with how some people are presenting themselves in the public eye. One of the things that any of my funeral home mentors have taught me is that they're not there to see you, they're there to see the deceased. And we're gonna come right back to that because that's been an issue too. Finding what works for our areas, I agree with, but finding a way to do it in an excellent way that does not take away from honoring the life of the deceased is paramount, right? Because many a times we have people that want to be in the forefront and want to be. I'm not a person that likes to be in the forefront of things anymore. I'm not a person that likes to be seen at funerals. I'm there to get my job done. I'm there to serve the family, and then we have to send them home in a more excellent way. But getting back to the sacredness of the industry, not trying
I told
to
you.
not okay, I got you. Not revealing the secrets of what happens behind closed doors because it's none of the general public's business. And I say that from a standpoint of they don't need to know how we're injecting fluid into their loved one. They don't need to know how we're cutting up the clothes up the back. They don't need to know how we're operating behind closed doors to even get to the funeral service. And then
Very
for the
sacred.
young folk, right? A lot of y'all are very optimistic and very ambitious, and I was that way also. But there was a thin line between being ambitious and having a passion for something and doing
Yeah.
entirely too much. If you are
Yeah.
not licensed, you must be careful. And I say that from a standpoint of you saying something or doing something that will represent, and in the eye of the public, you represent a firm, and that's how all of y'all act. And it may not be that way, and that may not be the image that you're trying to portray, but the very fact that you are engaging in certain issues, certain actions in the public eye, they're not going to care that it was just you. They're going to care that you are an extension of the firm that you're representing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you cannot go everywhere. You cannot do everything. Not everybody is your friend. You have to tighten in and listen. We have to learn to shut up. We got to learn to listen. We got to learn to sit under if you're sitting under a funeral director, do that. You're sitting under a funeral director to learn about everything that you're doing within the industry. You're not sitting around oh, I'm driving a hearse. That's cool. But drive the hearse. If you're assisting with the processional, assist with the processional. If you're assisting with the preparation of a body, do that quietly. Because that's how a lot of people get in trouble with, and that's how you end up with state board, getting called up to your state board, thinking that, oh, I was just sharing my passion for the industry. But there are legalities surrounding it that some of y'all don't know about. And it took me a while to learn it too. Not that I was out there doing half of what I've been seeing, but you have to y'all have to tighten up. And that's more so for the young folk. Now, for the older ones that's out there
Mm-mm.
doing it, the
Mm-mm.
Lord will handle it, and so will the state board. But for the young folk, while you have a chance to save yourself, while you have a chance to save the dignity that you have, that you're trying to build, while you have a chance to build on the potential that you have, because a lot of y'all have insane potential and can go very far in this industry, but you have to learn to be quiet. You have to learn to be secretive. You can't tell everybody what you saw on the prep room table, because that destroys the dignity of the loved one that you all are serving. You can't if you get a high profile case, shut up. Shut up. We've had celebrities, we've had very high profile homicides. You think anybody in my circle found out about it? No, because when it's repeated in the natural world, and they'd be like, "Oh, where'd you get that from?" "Oh, I heard it from Timmy, who worked down there at
Mm-hmm.
Serenity."
Mm-hmm.
Now they're wondering, why is Serenity out talking about our loved ones?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say any specific Serenity. Don't come jumping down my throat. But if you do, you'll find what you're looking for. But confidentiality has to be our portion when we are in such a sacred space. It's it's an honor and a privilege to be trusted with somebody's loved one. It's a privilege to work in a funeral home. It's a privilege to be around a deceased individual. And the fact that God is trying to trust you, you must prove yourself trustworthy, but you got to learn to shut up. Now, we'll come back. And then for the ones that are already in operation, I'm sorry, I have to. The presentation of the loved one speaks for you before your business card ever will. You can't put these people out there looking all crazy and wondering why you have such a bad report when the people look. When I should not go and look down at my friend in his casket and he looked like the day y'all picked him up. We have to take more pride in our work. That goes down to the flowers, going down to presentation. The graphics are becoming a big thing now, but the presentation of the loved one, and that falls on everybody. Check your bodies before you leave. That's what we do. We have to. We don't. Nobody leave our doors without us checking and making sure that they are decent and they're excellent, and they're presented in a way that's going to be positive for them. I've seen the effects of what happens when we walk up on the cast, and it happened in my family. Walked up when one of my adopted uncles passed away, and we entrusted him to another firm in another state that shall remain unnamed. But when we looked in the casket, what we saw is not what we knew.
My
And it
God.
happened with my brother, one of my the gentleman who I adopted is like my oldest brother. It happened with him also, and I had to go in and fix everything because his funeral was the next morning, and there was no way that we were putting him out looking like that. And so, taking pride in the work that you put out, while also making sure that it's up to standard, and how you would present your loved one out there, if that makes more sense,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be paramount moving forward. That's what I want to see. I want to see people take more pride in their work, and I want to see the young people to just zip it.
Now, coming from someone who does restorative measures at their firm, I
Mm-hmm.
take extreme pride in what I do. It takes
Mm-hmm.
time. It takes practice. It takes that eye. You have to, and you really have to prepare every loved one as, and I say this, and my people that I work with think I'm crazy, but you have to prepare your loved ones as if they're one of your own.
Exactly.
You have to,
And it's
because if you don't,
unfortunately, sorry, go ahead.
no, go.
It's a principle that a lot of us miss, right? Because for many of us, we're serving in this industry, but we've never been on that side of the table.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's not something that you can say, "Oh, I don't want to be on that side of the table." It's something that you have to really put yourself on that side. If you've never been through a true season of grief, you have to put yourself on that side of the table, because if you don't, you're gonna miss the mark 95% of the time. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until I started losing like my friends and my mentors, some of my brothers, some of the closest people to my life, and when I lost my great grandmother, is when I had my first real experience being on that side of the table for myself. And until you understand that experience, until you try to understand that experience, it's something that we're going to miss the mark on just from a customer service perspective too,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of information that is covered in an arrangement. There's a lot of information that is covered when you're preparing a loved one for their this is their curtain call, the last day that any of us will see them on this side of heaven. And really, we're looking at the physical representation of what was for the soul, right? We have to kind of tighten up on the way that we handle the industry, because if we don't and we continue to miss the mark, unfortunately, it may cause the end of business for certain folk. And it may also cause your view in the public eye to be tarnished. Some of it is deserved, some of it isn't. And some of it is just the missing factor of common knowledge. And that's why it's imperative that you go to mortuary school, man. They teach you all of this stuff, and then find somebody who is doing it right. Find somebody that's doing it right. Find somebody that is credentialed. Find somebody that is about their business and about the ministry aspect of this industry. And I promise you, you'll be all right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Some of
Uh,
the greatest firms that we know and have known to grow and love, they didn't come from just willy-nilly doing whatever they wanted to do. They came from hard work. They came from dedication. Yes, they found what worked for them and what worked for their area, but they never made a mockery of themselves, accidentally or purposefully. So,
yeah. So one of my mentors from Delaware, Mr. Robbie Hutchinson, he was one of the first directors that gave me a shot in the industry. One thing he always said to me, he said, Raheem, no matter what room you walk in, if you're trying to learn, be the sponge that absorbs it all. Because when it comes time for you to do whatever you're learning, you're going to be great at it because you absorb every piece of information that you get. I say that because it's really, 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 really important. Young people, know your wherever state you're practicing in, whether you're licensed or not. Learn your laws.
and I'm gonna
Learn
tell
your.
y'all something that's gonna help y'all in this digital age. It's online.
Yeah,
Whatever state you live in, or whatever state you plan on practicing in, go to the website, go to the state board where I dare you. It's on there, and learn your
yeah,
laws.
it is. And the biggest thing is because my biggest fear, there was a lot of directors who I call them veterans, but they all paved the way for us to be a part of this industry. I would hate to see this industry be made fun of. I would hate for we professionals to make a mockery of the sacrifices of those that came before us. So please, 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 please keep it dignified, keep it sacred, keep it excellent.
Keep it excellent.
We have to. We have to because at the end of the day, 2022, Courtney, I never told you this before, but I'll tell you, my life and funeral service changed forever. It changed forever. I will never serve the same after 2022.
That was a
June
pivotal year.
25th, 2022, I lost my grandfather. And my grandfather was like a father figure to me. And of course, oh, Raheem works at a funeral home. So everything kind of, I don't want my grandmother to stress. I don't want my mom or my aunts or my uncle to stress. So
Exactly.
I got it. Like,
Exactly.
make it happen. 2 weeks after his funeral, his mother, my great grandmother, passed away. The way, the firm I was working with at the time carried us through. I saw things that I appreciated as a family member. I saw things that were a little overbearing as a family member. I saw things that I was disappointed in as a family member because I just couldn't. It was just a lot. So having that front row experience or having that other side of the table experience, I put myself in that position. I was in that position, so now I know how to serve families in the position I was in. I don't want to overload them with everything or stuff like. How can I make this easier for you? Because you still have to go home and you still have to sleep and you still have to, produce greatness in your life. And life still goes on. This is a temporary moment of this week, a temporary moment of gathering everything. Life still goes on after the internment. So we have to make sure that we are doing everything possible just to please our families the right way.
The right way.
The right way. And
What the books say.
to
Help.
those who are licensed, I
Excuse me.
thank you. I thank
I
you for
do
putting
too.
the work in. I thank you for answering the call. I thank you for your practice. And I also thank you for your service.
And for setting the standard.
For those who are aspiring, like myself, like Courtney, to be licensed, take your time. Your day is coming. Don't falsify yourself because it's going to mess up your character before you even get there. Your day is coming. I promise you, your hard work's going to pay off. I don't think if you ask any funeral director who went to mortuary schools and practicing for years, that's going to tell you that they wish they never did it. There are people you're going to meet, places you're going to sit, places you're going to go. That is all an opportunity of your service. So it's coming. It's coming. Here I am, 26 years old. I thought I was going to be licensed and a whole firm owner by the time I'm 25. You couldn't tell me that. You couldn't tell me otherwise. But God had other plans. So I'm following what the Lord laid out for me, and I'm trying to stop trying to be the pilot of my own life and let God do it because I'll be hollering Mayday when I'm the pilot, trying to use my airline code terms since you want to be a Delta man. Trying to make this.
Had a computer yelling at you talking about pull up, man. What?
I'm just trying to make it connect. So I do want to also when it comes to your Delta and now mortuary school, and still when you come home, you still go back to your uncles and help them out when needed. Again, shout out to Gideon Memorial Chapel. Shout out to Brandon. So you still help your uncles, and stuff like that. What does Courtney like to do for fun? When do you get Courtney time?
Can I be honest? So honestly, Courtney has Courtney time in them layovers, right? I love me a good dance. I love me a good laugh. I love me a good cocktail. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. Cocktail, nice night out. I'm learning to run a sporting event for my birthday. A friend of mine and I went to a basketball game. We went to the aquarium. We had a wonderful time. I like doing stuff that's, enriching. And now that it's getting warmer, I'll be able to get back to my outdoor activities such as like hiking and just spending time outdoors, spending time with my little cousins as much as my schedule will now permit. But traveling was a big thing for me last year as I was like trying to find out what do I like to do. I was somewhere every other month, they'll tell you.
You travel for a living.
And now I travel for a living. Hey, see how that worked.
Don't put God.
See how that works. Income. Yes, he will. He was. I'm a witness.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were.
Get paid to do the things you like to do. I no longer. My mama down there, she tests to you.
She said he loves to travel.
I no longer pay for my travels, and I am having a wonderful time. Shout out to the best airline in the world. No one better connects the world, but man. Get paid to do your hobbies. That's why funeral service, it's a ministry, but it's also a hobby, and it's also something that I found a passion and I love doing. Get paid to do it. But you can't support a good paycheck if you're not properly credentialed. If you have not taken the step, I can't walk into a funeral home and say, I want to make $90,000 a year. And having so much as taking a general ed course to get me towards the end of a mortuary services degree. I cannot walk into nobody's firm and say, I'm gonna be the A on this service. Y'all gonna follow me. I can't do that. Now I've been graced to lead a service after being properly trained, but it's because I am in a house that we are always learning. One of the biggest things that my uncles have really shoved down all of us and all of our potential is that we need to be educated. And it's a wonderful thing. Like, there are some people that I've talked to and they look down on education and they look down on an opportunity to enrich themselves in a field in which they say they so much love. But if you are not taking the steps to properly understand something, are you doing it justice by practicing it?
Mm-hmm.
Short answer is no. But you have some people that will get out there and they'll do things their own way, and then they're before the board 10 times in 1 month. And then you have some that are brought up on federal charges for the things that has happened behind closed doors that come to light. This is why you have to be under somebody and make sure that you are learning the right way, learning the way that will keep you from somebody's courtroom or disciplinary hearing. And then you have the brand that you want, the brand that you dream of, and the brand that God shows some of y'all. But if we are irresponsible with the call, he gonna hang up. I've witnessed people lose their gifts and lose opportunities because they didn't take the proper steps. And I never wanted to be like that. The steps and the curves and the hills in my journey, that came from circumstantial stuff, but never because I put myself above where I should have been while I'm pursuing something.
Listen, man. Remember that.
I tried. I tried.
Now, I really, to all of my viewers, please do not think that I am like being rude to my friend here. This is just us.
This is us everything.
I say it again.
This is stuff y'all don't get to see.
But I know he is really, really passionate about that matter. So I let him ramble, and I'll,
yes, First Lady,
let that pass. But he is really, really passionate about this, and I am too. So I just want to encourage you all again to please, please, please take your time, follow the proper steps. I just want you all to be successful. To me, this is just my personal opinion. I know some may not favor each other, but we are all still one body of service, and we need to act accordingly. It's enough of people out there trying to attack us. Enough. Stop attacking each other. Stop attacking each other, and just love one another. That's all I want. That's all. Is that too much to ask for? If that's too much to ask for, Courtney, let me know. I just want everybody.
It's not, but I'm gonna leave it at it's not.
And love on one another so we can serve these families together. Because at the end of the day, even if I have something that is a major high profile service or whatever, I just want to be able to call, hey Courtney, can you, can you come help? Or I just want to be able to do that. But you know what? You're probably in Italy anyway. It doesn't matter. But it's really important because we're just one body of service. Yes, God has blessed some with the gift of gab to direct families, to meet with families. Some people God has blessed to be some of the best embalmers out there. Some people like myself, God has blessed to be, one of the best reconstructionists or whatever. But it really just we have to get back to being one. I'm so sick of the competitiveness. I'm tired of it. To me, at the end of the day, one firm can't handle every first call. First off, what firm would want to handle every first call? That's too much stress in itself. But we can't handle it, so we need each other. And it's like we really have to get out of. That's my competitor. That's your
Mm-hmm.
colleague doing the same thing. He got what he earned. That call, he earned that call.
And honestly, if
The
you're
call
not doing
you
it in a
got,
more
you
excellent
earned
way
that
anyway,
call.
that's not a competitor. If you're not doing it in a way that better serves the families, we all do the same thing, and that's why I go back to Raheem a couple of days ago when we were talking about relationship being so imperative in this industry, right?
Yes.
I can go to one of the firms down the street if we need to. Let's say we need something for the behind the scenes work. I can go and call up 3 funeral homes within a
Mm-hmm.
20-mile radius of our firm and say, hey, do you have? And if they have it, they're willing to give it. And that's why it seems to what some people have described as cheesy, right? To have the association and have the specific chapters and the charters of the associations, right? It's imperative that you build relationship within that. One of the greatest examples that I've ever seen is somebody who I hold near and dear to my heart, him and his family, Escamilio Jones in Philadelphia. There was one time he had to serve a family of 13 people, right? He couldn't do that by himself. And he recognized he had enough wherewithal within himself to realize that he needed help. And
Mm-hmm.
he called on the firms in the area and they responded. And if we can be like that and have that camaraderie that we claim that we're trying to build and we claim that we have within us, but you can't even stand next to the next director and without cutting the face or making some sly remark, we will be a lot better off with ourselves if we take the time to build relationship with each other. One of our
Yeah.
meetings, when we have meetings with our chapter, one of the first things we do is check in with each other. How are you? Is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything that you need help with? And if there's a
Yes.
need that we can respond to, then yes, we will handle and address whatever is needed. But if
Yes.
we all have that same camaraderie, if we build that within ourselves, the black firms specifically, we will be a lot better off with ourselves. The general public won't see us as jokes. They will
Mm-hmm.
not look down on us when we're trying to serve. They won't see us as money hungry people.
Mm-hmm.
They'll see us as a necessary and needed service. And they'll see us as people that they should be going to. Because let's be honest, the community should be able to trust us with their loved ones. There is no reason why the
Oh, yeah.
small family-owned funeral home is being disregarded to go and pay 2 and 3 times more what they would spend at a corporate firm that's just down the street. Families should be able to trust us. But it goes back to the presentation of the way that we allow ourselves to be viewed in the public eye and the way that and families are a lot smarter than they think. They see all of that competition and competing where you can't compete. They see that. They see the way that they hear the way that y'all
Mm-hmm.
talk about each other. They see the way that y'all treat each other. They see the little slide things like, oh yeah, they in the picture
Yeah.
together. Look how they looking. Look at the body language. Like all of this comes to the forefront of people's minds. And I'm not telling you what I saw. I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know from speaking to families. How can I assist you better? How can I
Mm-hmm.
serve you better? And these are the things that they bring up. And we have open forums with
Yeah.
the families because it's important to know how do they see me in the public world? How does the public see me? How do they
Mm-hmm.
view this firm specifically? And when we get so caught up in, oh, that's my competitor, and we price cut and take money out of our own pocket trying to cut their business, God is not going to respond well to that.
Yeah.
What's for me is for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I start my funeral home, bro, I don't want every case. I don't want every dollar. I don't want to serve every family. Because if that's the case, I'm gonna overwork myself into an early grave. And I don't want that. I don't want every family because I'm not going to be able to meet everybody's needs. I'm not going to be able to meet everybody's expectations. That's an unrealistic thing to have for yourself, to think that you can go out and serve everybody. We need to be like that association camaraderie that's in the Philadelphia area, where I know that if I call Raheem for something, Raheem is either going to come running. If he can't, he's going to send somebody that can. I know that I can call my
And
uncles.
you know it. You rock it, I'm rolling.
You know, and you rocking, I'm rolling. And there's people in other states that I can call on when we need it. Y'all out here having such competition with each other, people that's not even near you, that when you need something in the area, now you can't call because you didn't want to tarnish what could have been a good relationship and you've burned a bridge. Now you have to go through the corporate firm and the family has to pay $7,000 to get their loved one back. And that's just on transportation alone. When in reality, we can work something out. We have a network of people all across this country that if I need something in that area, I know who I can call and I know who I won't call, because it has nothing to do with me not liking a specific person, not liking what they do, but I don't like the way that they presented themselves. I cannot effectively trust you if the general public can't trust you. I can't trust you with the stuff that I've seen from you if it becomes an issue in your immediate area, because now it's going to be a reflection on me because I told them to go there.
Courtney, hold on 1 second. This is good. Can't provide the type of quality they deserve, nor the quality needed to be put out either. That's so good.
It's a dangerous thing.
I love y'all.
It's a dangerous thing. I'm going to tell you, it's a very dangerous thing to say that you will provide something, gain the trust of a family to provide what you said that you would provide, and to allow
and don't show up and do it,
and don't show up and rise to the occasion. That is what tarnishes us completely. And by providing these unrealistic expectations, and it may work for certain people, and then there's other people that it won't, but you have to really kind of take into account what we're dealing with here, right? We're meeting people at one of the most traumatic periods of their life. You are taking advantage of them, and they're not thinking about it because all they know is I've sent my loved one to this. This is what has to be done. And it goes back to also being able to educate our community on their rights as consumers of the funeral home industry. There are some people that cannot be.
I want to pause there. I want to pause right there, because community engagement and community involvement is
a major thing.
So when I tell you, just as passionate as you were for this rant, I could go a whole podcast episode in itself on how important it is for a firm to be engaged and involved in their community. Exactly. Because if you are not, you are going to fall into that stereotypical funeral director just after my money. And that's looking back at history. That's not all we did. You know, it's what are we doing outside the funeral hour? I'm not going to get into that because I could be here for hours. Because we'll
think of a special episode for it.
There we go. So, you know, Courtney, I don't want to keep our viewers long, but I do. Is it okay now that I've released our secret?
Let me see. How long? Yeah, let's do it.
Bet. So Courtney actually is, and I'm proud to announce this because I've never said this to anybody outside of my administrative assistant who takes care of the podcast. Courtney is actually one of the faces behind the Life of Young Funeral Professionals. I sat back and I thought about it and I said, Raheem, you can't do this all by yourself. I've actually reached out to people to lend a helping hand. But I'm so happy to say that Courtney is the Life of Young Funeral Professionals brand manager. All of these graphics that you see, he made himself. Even how things are flowing came from ideas from him. He's pushing me to be greater, and I'm thankful for that. So this podcast is totally different. The relaunch is totally different. So I'm thankful to him. I'm so grateful that he said yes to me. Because actually, to be honest, I do want to say I'm going to be 100% honest. We were having a conversation on the phone one day, and I was really, really frustrated because I wanted to have this. It was really special to me to have this done, but it was just being pushed back. I reached out to graphic design artists, and and they didn't receive anything back. No shade to them. I understand their workload. No shade at all. Uh, no shade from me at all. Um, but when I spoke, I was on the phone with Courtney one night, and I was like, "I'm just tired. I just can't do this. I'm just over it. I'm just fed up." He was like, "No, don't give up. I can do it. Matter of fact, I'll be your brand manager." So he made himself the brand manager, and I agreed with it. But I'm grateful because ever since he stepped foot in that role, he has really, really, really made an adjustment when it comes to this podcast, and I'm so grateful. I'm so honored to call him my friend. I'm so honored to talk to him whenever
That's the
he's not on
nicest
a
thing you
plane.
said all week. But man, I'm honored and I'm blessed that you have allowed me to tap into your vision. Though honestly, you've done an amazing job, and it's not nothing that I do will ever discredit what you've already been able to accomplish. I'm just glad that I'm able to take part in what is going to become of this. You're building such an amazing platform, and you're doing so good. We couldn't really tell at the beginning that you were just a beginner. I didn't know that until you and I had a conversation late last year about your
Yes, sir.
expectations for your podcast and for your brand that you're building. You've done such an amazing job already. And that's why I told you any way that I can be here, that I can support you, and I can make sure that you are achieving your next best, what God has for you and what God has for this platform. Man, I got you. You know,
I,
and you said it the other day, we haven't been friends long, but we've been friends long. And anything that you need, man, one of the realest people on my team, I got you. And I'm so blessed that you have allowed me to be a part of your team. And hopefully, y'all tell me in the comments, does everything look good? Because we're going through a full rebranding and relaunching, and we are making sure that everything will be done in excellence as it has already, but just taking it
yes.
to that next level.
Yes, and he touched on something. It's a whole new rebrand of this podcast and this platform. So please be on the lookout. There's going to be interactive content coming. We're going to be doing special things in the next few weeks into months. So please just keep a lookout because I want you guys to be involved. I even might have somebody interview me, but that just
We
might
need
be
it.
a thing
We need it from the heart of the founder.
from the I'm from the heart of the founder. So
You ain't got it all, man.
thank you so much for tuning in today, Courtney. Thank you. I'll call you later, but I appreciate. I'm so serious, and in front of the entire world, I want to say this out loud. Raheem Watson and Courtney Hemphill have been true. I don't know anymore. Truly have become really good friends, and he has really become an aid to me in my walk in this industry. I've shared a lot of things with Courtney, and he has given me encouragement. Although he is younger than me, he thinks he's my father. He has given me encouragement, and vice versa. And Courtney, as I told you privately, I'll tell you publicly, whatever I can do, whatever anything that you need from me, if I'm willing to, if I'm able to do it, I'm willing to do it. So please just know that, and you're my guy, dog. You rocking, I'm rolling. Period.
I'm glad you said I got a list builder right there.
See,
I did
you can
want to
never
shout
be
out
nice
very
to people.
quickly. I did want to shout out very quickly because Dr. Giddens is in. He's in the comment section. I see him.
Mm,
I do want to congratulate him. Something that people are just starting to find out is that Nevada is getting a mortuary school. We're getting it at one of the junior colleges that is here in the city. And Dr. Giddens. So if you want to be a mortuary student in the state of Nevada, come now, come quickly, come now, because Dr. Giddens has been appointed as the program director for the funeral service program at the
shout out
College
to
of
Dr.
Nevada.
Giddens.
We got a mortuary school. I've only been waiting for like the better part of 7 years, but as things progressed with the industry here, they were supposed to be done when I graduated high school. And
Okay,
so
well they weren't.
very excited for what that's going to do for the funeral industry here, but just more so for what's going to come for the new mortuary students that are coming underneath all of us. I, of course, am attending a different program because with my new job and my new lifestyle, I have to be online. But Doc already knows any way that I can support him in that. We good. I was more than excited to call me. So
very, very, very soft-spoken man, but has a endless well of knowledge.
endless well of knowledge.
Endless well of knowledge, and has a heart to want to see everybody succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, congratulations to Dr. Giddens, because I just know that program is going to be A1. Just shout out.
His
But no,
firm is a teaching firm, so that's why education is very important in our family, because we want to make sure that we're legit across the board. That's always been one of his biggest things since I joined them, to make sure that you legit. Anybody can go out there and be an interstellar funeral attendant. Anybody can go out there and be an interstellar mortician, but it's a completely another thing to be interstellar and credentialed.
Yeah. Honestly, because you just don't want to go around being a glorified funeral attendant.
Right.
All right. So really quickly, one thing that we're going to do, we're always going to shout out the firm our special guest is with. So shout out to the Giddens Memorial Chapel in Nevada, right? Nevada.
Yes. Nevada.
Yes.
But
Shout out to them. Shout out to, I don't know the entire family personally, but I thank you for your service. I thank you for your yes. Dr. Giddens, you already know you have my heart. I thank you for all that you have done. And so, Courtney, I thank you yet again for being a part of today. And I thank you for being a part of this team. So, family, you will see his face again. It might not be in the same position, because one of these days, somebody is going to interview this boy right here. And I think it just might be him. You just never know. So, thank you for tuning in today. Join me next week right back here on Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I got folks who are that way. So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. And I will see you next week.
Appreciate you.